Oh, let me see what you got. Forgot about you out there, Hannah. Yeah. Yeah, I got a wipe up here.
Have a good weekend.
Hey, we just put the doors down now.
Yeah, sure.
See, good luck tonight. Yep.
Was this homework?
That's for the notes. Yeah, the homework's on Will and Candace. Colin just left. Didn't tell you not.
Do you have a bloody nose or something? Because he always has bloody noses in his class.
Good morning.
There's a slight coughing still. Morning. Griffin, if you get your computer out, I'll show you where the online book is.
All right.
Go to Canvas. Just go to my page.
Okay. Yes. Well, I'm
What are you doing in yellow light?
That's what you said. Test. Stop what you're doing.
Morning. All right, hey, get that. I lose my voice. Get that shit out. Come on in. Here's the added notes. Awesome. Get that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here are the answers to take a look at. Who's asked first? All right. Are you one that are you able to get on campus?
I do, but I have my.
All right, Mr. Parker will probably get that.
It's both.
And this is one where you really need to look over these answers. Anybody give you guys one?
Oh, no.
Carly, reach that. Oh, yes. Okay. Go to bin. Go up here.
Wait, just 6.
Oh, okay.
Zach,
Yeah.
Alex, you done?
And then paid whatever.
Did you go back and look at the video? Did you look at your notes? What happened to 6?
Oh, wait, no, I didn't get it.
Staying there. It was fine, it was absolutely yesterday, so this is the only one. Mark?
Yeah, I showed me during the game. That's a big deal.
Check your work, man.
Not like.
Charlie. I push it over.
I missed you.
It's 2? Okay, now why isn't that? What's doing wrong? What's -2 minus 4? Can you actually combine those together? You don't know? No, why not? That has an R now, it doesn't. So you only can do -2. Divide last. So you missed 2. Yeah, well, this work doesn't have that. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Oh, you need to stop, right? Okay. Good. Oh, is that what you got?
Yeah, I did it last night.
You're very used, and I know we're big trouble.
Yes. Maybe, I don't know.
Ms. Parker, you got attendance, right? Yeah. All right. All right, we're working through this together. All right. Now this, I'll be honest, this is always one of the tougher sections when we first do it, but honestly, after about the second day, most people catch on. So if you missed a few, focus on fixing them. Don't just assume that you're going to keep missing them. So this, and we got to figure there's a couple key mistakes that keep coming up, like consistent mistakes that we can fix. You got to know when do you add and subtract, or when do you divide or multiply, because that's kind of the big one. So you got to take a look at which one you're looking at. Things are being multiplied when they're written right next to each other, like mx. M is multiplying x, okay? 3n. 3 is multiplying n. And to undo that, you got to divide eventually, okay? nrt. All three of them are being multiplied. Okay, so you got to know what's happening. And then when things are being added or subtracted, if they're being added or subtracted, you have to have like a +1. What's that? Yeah, thanks. You got to have a +1. You got to have a +2y. You got to have a sign in between there. Other than that, they're being multiplied. Your last step to get the variable by itself is usually to divide. Don't divide first, okay? Last step you want to do is divide. So let me start with the hardest, and maybe we'll work backwards from there. Let's start at number 10. Let's do that one. What do we ask to get by itself? First of all, identify that. Zach, what's it telling me to get by itself for number 10?
X.
X. So I got to get that by itself. So you got to say what's going on that same side. What else do we have? Well, we got this -3. Don't divide. That's the last thing you do. But you have this other 12y. We got to move to the other side. Well, since it's subtracting 12y, what do? We add it. So we're going to put +12y +12y. Now, well, by far and away, this is the biggest mistake that people make right now. They're going to tell me 18 + 12y is 30y. That's by far and away the biggest mistake. It's not. Why can't we? You can't really add those together because 18 does not have a y. So you can do, and we do it two ways. A, I can bring on this whole -3x, and then equals, you can either write 12y + 18, because we always like to write that variable first, or you can write 18 + 12y and then rearrange it later. But the key thing is you can't add those together. So don't do that. Now I got -3x = 12y + 18. What can I do? X is not by itself. All right, x is not by itself. What do I still need to do? Diana, what do you think?
Divide 12y.
Divide what?
12y?
Well, what are we dividing by?
-3.
Got to divide by the -3. Now, when you divide by the -3, you have to divide each piece by the -3. Okay, now if we hope it goes into it evenly, makes it life a little bit easier. And in this case here, the y doesn't, you can divide anything. Now, we cannot combine 18 and 12y by adding and subtracting, but you can divide 12y by -3. Okay, divide and multiply, you can do it with anything. What's 12 divided by -3? It is -4y. Don't forget the y. And then 18 divided by -3, just give me one sign. -6. There's your answer. So it should match what it got down there. Okay. So you got to see, what do I move? What can move? Sometimes it's only one step. Sometimes it's more than one step. So look at number 8. Look at number 8. I'm solving it for R. Okay. Maya, do you know what to do?
Subtract AX to the side.
Good. Because you have this plus R, they're not being multiplied, so I subtract AX. All right, Mike, can you tell me what to write? Tell me what's starting the furthest on the left.
R equals 7 minus AX.
All right, good. You can't actually combine them. You can't, make it 6 or 5 or anything else. That's all you can do. Okay. Now, did anybody rearrange them? Okay, you didn't have to in this case. And if you did rearrange them, you would just have to say R equals negative AX plus 7. All right, I would have taken either one for this one. So that's all you got to do. All right, now, number 3. Let's hop over here to number 3 while we're here.
Question.
All right, looking at that one. Reese, what are we solving for?
For X.
Solving for X. As you look at that problem, okay, you look at this problem, what do I need to do to get X by itself? What in your mind, Jeff, what do you think is the first thing we should do?
Would be subtract B.
Good, I'm going to subtract B. Now you tell me what to write.
Would be, I don't know.
What does that say? Read that.
Y minus B.
Then that's what you write. You write Y minus B. Okay, I'll say write it like you read it. You read it, right? Y minus B, but you're going to write it on one line. And then what goes next?
Would be MX minus B.
No, because B minus B, the whole reason we subtract is that it gets rid of it. So what's really just left over there?
MX.
MX. Is X by itself?
No.
No, what do we have to divide by? Now we've been dividing by number, we can divide by any variable.
Divide by M.
Divide each of these by M. So I'm going to divide all of them by M. So now you can't take Y divided by M. It doesn't equal anything. Like, we got to represent it. So we just say Y.
What is going on?
I don't know. I think I got to shut down and restart.
Sometimes we need to do that too.
Oh, no. Gosh. So now, the only thing I would ask you to do.
Teachers, please excuse this interruption. As we reflect on the events that occurred beginning at 8:46 a.m. on September 11th, 20 years ago, I would like all staff and students to join me at this time in a moment of silence as we remember those who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001. While we pay tribute to those brave men and women who did not survive that infamous day in 2001, let us also take a moment to pay tribute to the thousands of men and women who are still practicing or still protecting and serving us in the military, as well as all first responders and those who have dedicated their lives as members of our fire and police forces. I would suggest that the best way to honor their memory might be to take a moment or two today and every day to do an act of kindness for someone who crosses your path. Have a great day.
Were you here then?
No. I was just going to.
Yeah, I remember we didn't hear about it until like 10 o'clock.
We had TVs in our rooms over there. Well, watch a second plane that way.
Yeah, I think we had that up too. I was down on, about when we finally figured it out, I was on cafeteria duty. So down there. So. All right, and you guys weren't even born.
What year were you guys born?
7.
6 or 7?
Yeah, I wasn't born. Maybe. The only thing I would ask you to do on this last one is write the variable first. So you just flip this around and write it as x equals y over m minus b over m. Okay? Just do that one. All right, like I said, we need to hit this again. We're going to skip the warm-up just so we can get through the notes. We're going to hit this again. We'll pass those out.
Yeah, keep it in your Just have a 3-ring binder going.
Yeah, 3-ring binder, especially since I gave you all that stuff to catch up on.
Second one. I made my first 4 main classes.
You got what?
Science, algebra, English, and world studies.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, first 4.
That's a big one.
But I couldn't like it because I'm upstairs and then downstairs the rest of the day.
What do you got?
Art and Spanish. I'm studying all sorts.
8th grade studies.
I like it.
Get some of your homework done?
Yep.
Okay, like I said, we're just gonna hit this again. It's just helpful to hit it twice as we go through here. We are going to test next Thursday. It's gonna be a pretty big test, an 80-point test. Usually tests are gonna be around 80 to 100. Just depends on how many sections there are for that. And a lot of times, like when we do some things later on, like we want to write things in certain ways. This is why we do this. Sometimes rearrange. You're like, well, why do we need to rearrange things? Well, sometimes it makes it a lot easier when we're solving problems, especially like when we're graphing lines. We'll go over that a ton. We more than often want to write anything in a form of like y equals 2x plus 3. Not everything's given in that form, so we have to rearrange for that. Now, hopefully you at least recognize that. You may not remember everything about lines, but you should recognize that. All right, as we take a look at this, a literal equation just means there's more than one variable. Okay, think literal, literary, like read. Solve it for, and then you got to make sure you read it. What are you solving for? Because it could be for a y, it could be an x, it could be some different letter. So we're solving that one for y. All right, so hopefully what we just went over a little bit helps you set things up. All right, and so in terms of that, Rylan, what do you think here? Any ideas? Subtract what?
4x.
Yes, because you got to say, what is over there? And so here's what I got to think. And there's different ways you can view it, but I'm thinking this is I got 2 terms over there. Before I divide anything, I got to move the other term out of the way. Okay, I got the term with the 3y, and I need to keep that, so I need to get that other one out of there. All right, what am I going to write? Start left to right. Zach?
3y equals 9 minus 4x.
Okay, I'm going to start with that. Now, more often than not, we're going to want, and Mr. Parker talked about this yesterday. When we write things, we usually want which piece first?
Variable.
The variable first. So I want to change that. You can change it right away because, I do 9 minus 4x, but that's the same thing as negative 4x plus 9. So I'm just going to rewrite this as 3y equals negative 4x plus 9. Now, if I don't do anything like left and right, I just rewrite it down below. But write the whole thing. Don't just leave the 3y up there. All right. I'm really close, right, Carla? What do I got to do? What's the only thing in the way? Divide by 3. And when we divide by 3, you divide each piece by 3. Now, take a look. The reason we divide by 3 is that cancels and gives me y equals. All right, does 3 go into negative 4? No, so leave it as a fraction. Leave it as a fraction. And what we can also do is we can put the x on the side. And you're going to see it usually written this way. Negative 4/3. And I can put the x beside it. It's the same thing as 4x over 3. All right, does 3 go into 9? Yeah, how many times? 3. So there we go. Plus 3. Is y by itself? Yeah. All right, so that's kind of the key thing. Y is by itself. All right, let's take a look at that at B. 4x minus 7y equals 9. Solve it for y. Okay, Mason.
Plus 4x, I would say.
Why do you say plus?
Because there's
No,
Because a lot of people are doing this.
yeah.
That minus actually goes with the what? 7.
What?
There's nothing in front of that 4. Would you tell me, is that 4 a positive or a negative?
Positive.
It's a positive. So think of it as a positive 4. So to move it, you actually have to, instead of adding it, you have to subtract it. So if we get that, remember that sign behind it goes to the other number. And if there's nothing in front of it, it's a positive. All right, let's write it the first way with the x first. So I get negative 7y equals 9 minus 4x. But what's the other way I can write that?
4x minus 9.
The negative has to go with the 4x.
Yeah.
So it's got to be negative 4x plus 9. Plus 9. Okay, so watch your signs there. All right. Now from there, Emily, what do you think?
You divide -7 on all three.
Yep. Very good. Divide -7. Now the big thing I want to tell you here is watch your signs. Okay. For your final answer. That gives me a y. Does the 7 go into 4? No. Leave it as a fraction. But 2 negatives divided always give us a what? Positive. So this is going to be 4/7 x. Does 7 go into 9?
No.
Goes into it, but evenly? No. If it doesn't go into it evenly, then just go ahead and leave it. And the positive divided by a negative is going to be a minus 9/7. Now later on, there might be situations where we write it as 1 and 2/7, or we might even want a decimal at some point, but not yet. Right now, that's all I want. 4/7 minus 9/7. 4/7 x. Okay, for that. All right, you try. You try. Because ideally we have to take some of they're going to an absolute value kind of worksheet just to hit that again.
Okay.
Practice test Tuesday.
Okay.
A little bit practice test Wednesday. Yes, it'll be tight, but they should have most of the period on Tuesday to get it done.
Oh, okay.
So that's the hopefully is to get it finished mostly in class.
All right, Ava. What are we solving for, Ava?
Oh, it's only for one.
Okay, guys, what I like to do, you don't have to do this. I like to just kind of circle what we're solving for. Kind of keep that on the paper. Okay? Keep that on the paper. Okay, but isn't the 6y in this term? So that means I have to get rid of that term. Right, guys? Does that make sense? I have to take that, get rid of that, take it to the other side. How do you do that?
You subtract 2x on both sides.
Cancel. I'm going to bring down my 6. Go ahead. 6y equals what?
Negative 2x plus 8.
Okay, good. Is everybody good with that first step? Yes?
Yep.
Alex, what is attached to the 6, the y still?
The 6.
How?
You have to divide,
Well, it's attached by,
multiply.
thank you. So how do we get rid of it?
You have to divide 6 by
Now, how many parts are there?
3.
I got to divide 6 how many times?
3 times.
Here, here, here. Okay? That cancels. What does that reduce to? Can you simplify that in your head?
Hey, now everybody pay attention here, because most of you are at this step, but we're going to want to do one last step.
We got this, right? What does that simplify to? What goes into both those numbers? Somebody help me out. 2, right? So what's it? Divide both numbers by 2, Alex. What's 2 divided by 2?
1,
Okay, so I got 1, and then 6 divided by 2.
3.
There you go. And now it's negative. That doesn't change. And then my x, I'm just going to write it right there. Okay, guys, we just simplified that.
Yeah,
Okay.
make sure a lot of you got it written as 26x. Put it in the next line down. Make that a negative 1/3 because we always want to reduce.
Same thing here. Griffin, what's that reduced to?
4/3, which you could simplify it to.
No, let's just leave it like that. You can go 1 1/3. Leave it 4/3. Yes.
I have a question. Would you mark off a point if we put it as negative 26x?
I mean, we want to simplify it. Anytime you have a fraction in your answer, you want to simplify it. Okay? Is that the biggest deal right now? No. But just remember, simplify. Okay? Questions on this one, guys?
Okay. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 6 actually.
All right. Solving for y. Boy, it looks like getting ready for lines here. Let's see. Lucas. You weren't here yesterday, Lucas. So, okay, I'm solving for this. That means leave it on the paper. What do I need to get rid of first, Lucas?
The 8x.
How do you, now, this is where you guys are getting confussed a little bit. What kind of 8x is it, positive or negative?
Positive.
Yeah, guys, it's right here. There's nothing over here. That's positive. How do you get rid of it then?
Subtract.
Good job. And you want to subtract it from both sides. Okay, that cancels. Okay, Lucas, what do you got left? Read it from left to right.
Negative 4y equals to
Holy smokes.
negative 8x plus 11. And you got to put the x with it. You're subtracting 8x. Not just
Good job.
just 8x.
Good job.
And you got to put the x with it.
All right, Reese. What are we going to divide by?
That gives you negative 4y equals 4 right there.
Careful.
8x.
By negative 4.
How many times? Places, I should say. 3 places, right? Guys, here, here, here. This cancels. Reese, what do you got? Y equals what? Whoa, what's this? What's negative 8 divided by negative 4? That comes out to a whole number. I can't hear you.
I said it's 2.
2 what? Nice job. And then does 4 go into 11 evenly? No, leave it at 11 fourths. Okay, now how do I want to write that though, Reese? Plus or minus 11 fourths? Guys, that's what we want right there. You guys feel better? How many feel a little better?
All right, good.
Good. Do you guys have more?
Yeah, there's 2 more.
Circumference formula. Circumference equals pi times diameter. Okay, it gives the circumference of a circle in terms of diameter d. Solve for d. Okay, so we want to solve for d. Okay. Maddie, what am I going to do? How do I solve for d here?
You would divide by pi.
Nice job. That cancels. So, Maddie, what are we left with? Just d equals what?
C.
Not just c.
D divided by pi.
C divided by pi. Now, since we solved for D, why don't we write it like this? Whoops. Why don't we write it like that? Okay. It says the circumference of the bowl was 18 inches. Okay? So what's the circumference? It goes right here, right? So I'm going to write D equals 18. Okay? And it says, what's the bowl's diameter? It says, leave the symbol in your answer. Guys, can I do anything else if we're supposed to leave pi? No. That's my answer. And that would be, what does it say? Inches. You could say this if you want. Diameter is 18 divided by pi inches. Okay? That's it. Do you know why sometimes we want to leave our answer in terms of pi? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Does pi, go ahead.
Because pi is infinite, right?
So it never stops? So anytime you multiply or divide by pi, what happens to our answer? Is it exact?
No,
It's, well, it's rounded, right?
Yeah.
It's estimated. If you leave pi in there, that's an exact answer. Okay? All right. The formula for a person's typing speed is speed equals W minus 10E, whereas divided by M, whereas S is the speed of words per minute. W is the number of words typed, E is the number of errors, and M is the number of minutes typing. Holy smokes.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. What do we have to solve for? Holy smokes. S equals W minus 10 E divided by M.
Go ahead and write that down underneath.
Write it down.
Work with.
Write it down under there. I'm just going to do that because I know that's what I'm going to solve for. Okay. Guys, if this M wasn't here, do you guys agree we'd subtract by W first? But I need to get rid of that. What's the M doing, guys? Griffin?
It's dividing, so you would multiply M on both sides.
I like it. Guys, that cancels out. Oh my goodness. That cancels out. Oh my Lord. So I'm just going to write this. Okay, and then I'm going to bring down that. Okay? And I just we multiplied with M and S, so it's just MS. Just put it together. Now, you could have wrote SM. Usually kind of alphabetical order, but that's not a big deal. All right, now, what's my next step? What do you think, Mace?
Subtract W. What is that?
Beautiful. Subtract W. Now, can I subtract MS and W? No, guys, they're not like terms. So just write that. MS minus W. Write that. MS minus W. And what do I bring down over here?
Negative 10.
Negative 10 what?
E.
Negative 10E. Now what? What's left with the E, guys? Go ahead. Yep.
Negative 10.
How?
You have to divide it.
Yeah, it's being multiplied, so I need to divide. Now, there's three pieces. See the subtraction sign over here? I need to divide that by negative 10 and that by negative 10. Kind of weird. So, let's start with this. Can I do anything here? No, so write that. MS divided by -10. Now, I want to write this like this. I'm going to write a -1 up there because it's really there. Guys, what's a negative divided by a negative? That's probably the tricky part here. And you can leave it like that. That's a hard, tricky part there. Now, probably want to do this, don't we?
Yep.
That was a tricky one, guys. That was hard.
All right, now this sheet we're handing out here, go ahead and get started on it. You can get done probably with half of it. There's all just variables on here. Remember, how you write everything. This is homework. This is homework.
Right away.
Look at your notes, bro. What are your notes? No. There you go, Abby, here you go. Alex and Zach.
So we got, that's it? I write the Q first. Over here. Q equals. Good job.